Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever Metnick and Vinci Productions podcast slash radio show. My name is Hunter Metnick. Um,
I'm Zach Vinci.
so we are here. We're just going to be talking about our 2020 free agency slash trade predictions. We wanted to start this, and we're going to be starting this podcast, probably doing once or twice a week, talking about a different topic in the NBA. Whether it's free agency when the draft's coming around, we'll definitely do something regarding the draft. Um, our regular season predictions, anything that involves the NBA, it'll be
Yeah,
right here.
we'll cover it.
Oh yeah.
We've been doing this for a while now, except we just haven't had a camera in front of us, and so it's not really going to feel any different. It's just us yelling at each other about basketball as
Yeah,
usual.
about who's going to win the finals and who all our good predictions and stuff. So a little background information about myself. My name is Hunter Metnick. Currently, I am a freshman at Temple University. I am studying sports management and hopefully getting a minor in broadcast journalism. Um, I soon will be working with the I-95 Sports Network, producing some sort of possibly NFL show. And yeah, I kind of just hit up Zach one day because we've been talking basketball for a couple years now, and I was like, dude, why don't we just put a camera in front of our faces and hope maybe people will watch it? So that's a little background about me, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm Zach Vinci, and I'm a freshman at Syracuse University. I'm currently majoring in broadcast journalism at the Newhouse School of Public Communications. Um, I have a radio talk show on WERW, and I'm also Citrus TV as well. And yeah, I'm also a Philadelphia 76ers fan, which will be referenced continually through this.
I forgot to mention that I am a Golden State Warriors fan, and no, unfortunately, yeah, go for it, comment bandwagon, do whatever you want. I've been a fan since 2013, 2014, right before they started getting good. So lucky for
Conveniently, the
me.
year they were.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, today we're just going to be discussing the 2020 free agents and different deals that we think will be done. Um, yeah, let's get right into it.
So,
So,
Anthony Davis. Let's start off with the biggest one.
yeah,
Anthony Davis. What you got?
I'd be shocked if he left LA.
No way.
There's no way. Not after the championship run.
He said he's ready to run it back. There's no chance that he leaves, especially the loving relationship he developed with LeBron James this year. I mean, there's no way he leaves.
No.
Like, you can tell how much he loves it there. He won a championship in his first season there. He put up some of the best numbers of his career. It's a gimme.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there was a beat when LeBron was asked about how he's going to handle the first half of next season. He said he's just going to cherry pick and let Anthony Davis carry the team. And I don't really think it really matters the supporting cast around them. They're going to be contenders. You have two top, I'd probably say 6 or 7 players in the league.
Yeah. I mean, their supporting cast last season wasn't even great.
No. They did have a lot of people step up in the playoffs.
They had a couple decent role players, but it was nobody that jumps off the page for you. They didn't have a third star.
Oh no! On 2K, the next highest rated player was I think it was like Dwight. Yeah, Dwight Howard has 79. I mean, that drop off is crazy.
Yeah, Anthony Davis pretty much a lock to go back to LA, and I'm just about Anthony Davis in general. I think he's gonna just continue. He just keep getting better. Like,
oh yeah,
he was fantastic this season. He was just as good as everyone expected him to be. He was instrumental in the playoffs. He had the huge game winner against Denver that almost sealed that series for them. He's going to be one of the top 5 or 6 players in the league again next season in LA. I don't think you disagree with me on that.
No, I think he has a very good shot even in the next couple years because obviously, I mean, we say this every year, but maybe finally LeBron will go on a little bit of a decline where maybe he'll average 25, 7 and 6 instead of his 29, 8 and 8. But yeah. I could see him in contention for an MVP or Defensive Player of the Year and coming up.
I don't know about MVP. There's a bunch of guys that we'll talk about this on a later show. There's a bunch of guys that I see ahead of AD right now in the MVP race. I don't know if his style of play translates to MVP basketball, especially when he's playing with LeBron. Because if the Lakers are successful, a lot of that credit's going to go more towards LeBron than AD.
Exactly. But just like this year, how LeBron was, LeBron was second.
Exactly. AD did everything he could this year, and he still wasn't in the top 5 in MVP voting. So I don't think we'll see that next year. But Defensive Player of the Year, I mean, he was this close this year. He'll be in the conversation.
In my opinion, I think he was if I had to do a prediction, I probably would have put him as my Defensive Player of the Year, and I would have given Giannis MVP. I think listen, that's not discrediting Giannis. I think he's incredible. He well deserved both those awards. But if I would have given Giannis the MVP, and I probably would have slid Anthony Davis the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, I was going in, I was fine with AD or Giannis winning. I just didn't want any part of Gobert getting that trophy.
Oh, I completely agree.
Gobert is not the same conversation with Giannis and AD defensively.
I completely agree with that. If you were to have Anthony Davis go on to a different team, so say he just randomly got fed up with LeBron and was like, I want out of LA.
Yeah.
And he's obviously, we'll discredit your 76ers because obviously if I would have one of them in the Warriors, you'd want on Sixers.
Of course.
Him and Embiid though, oh my God, that'd be filthy.
Who's scoring on them?
Yeah. And then you got Ben Simmons guarding the perimeter. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So if I could have you're asking if I could have AD anywhere.
Yeah.
I would love to see Anthony Davis go to his hometown and play as a Chicago.
I was thinking
that
too.
To see him pick the Chicago Bulls because I think Zach LaVine is the perfect guy to be a secondary superstar on a team. I don't think he can carry a team to a championship by himself. And if Anthony Davis came over and they had Zach LaVine, I'm a huge fan of Kobe White. Yes. I think Kobe White is going to be a stud in the future. And I think we'll see a lot of that. I think he's going to get most improved player this year.
Oh, wow. You have really high expectations for him.
Oh, my God. Anthony Davis, Zach LaVine, Kobe White. That team in Chicago is a top 5 team in the East.
Yes.
I think that would be really fun to see. What about you?
So you'll understand this. So this is pretty funny. I did my career in NBA 2K.
I know.
And I was a point guard for the Phoenix Suns. And I thought if they're missing anything, they're missing a good power forward next to DeAndre Ayton because Dario Saric is not the answer.
Dario Saric is terrible. I'm a Sixers fan. I've watched Dario Saric for years. He's terrible.
Yeah. So I think if you put Anthony Davis and DeAndre Ayton next to Devin Booker, that makes the West. I personally think the Suns will be like a 7-8 seed next year.
You know how much I love Devin Booker.
Oh yeah.
Devin Booker is amazing.
No, I would love to see him go to Phoenix.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, they were 8-0 in the bubble this year, right? I mean, if you give Booker, Anthony Davis, that's the top 3 team in the West.
Yeah. That's arguably one of the best big threes in the NBA too. Because going into this, we were saying, there's LeBron and AD, but then who's going to be that third star? Yeah. DeAndre Ayton. Personally, I think DeAndre Ayton will be a top 5 center in 2 to 3 years. I'm very high on DeAndre Ayton.
I don't know about that one. I like Ayton. I think you're getting a little ahead of yourself there with him as a top 5 center in the future. But I mean, we'll see.
Honestly, I think he'll just be a better offensive Gobert. That's the way I look at it. I think he has the potential to be that good defensively. Now, obviously, I think the Suns would have made the playoffs if he didn't miss those 25 games in the beginning of the season due to the didn't he get suspended for?
Oh, that's fair. He got suspended for performance-enhancing drugs.
Yeah.
Second through the 26 games of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, that obviously hurt them. And then they had Kelly Oubre missing a lot of time from injury. I mean, if they had both of them this season, they were definitely a playoff team. They probably would have gotten that 8th seed. But yeah, the Suns. I'm excited. We'll talk more about the Suns in the future.
I loved how they. I think Kelly Oubre is not going to be a Phoenix Sun by this season.
Okay. They're going to trade him.
Yeah, I during the bubble they really liked the front or the wings of Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, and I liked it too. But I see Cam Johnson as more of a backup.
Yeah,
now in his career.
I agree. Cam Johnson was fantastic in the bubble this year. His points per game spiked up by twice of what he had in the regular season. Yeah. So it's going to be fun to see the Suns.
So we'll move on off the Anthony Davis topic. I think we all know what's going to happen with that. We'll move on to a couple of pretty good small forwards. One's a little older, one's a little younger. We'll start with Brandon Ingram. First-time All-Star.
Look, that's another one. I don't see Brandon Ingram leaving New Orleans with the future that they've set up there with Zion Williamson. And I mean, we'll see if Lonzo Ball's still around next season. But especially, Zion and Ingram, when they were playing together this year, the Pelicans were winning games and they were looking really good.
Yes.
And Ingram's only 23. Zion's even younger. So, I mean, that team is they got two studs on that team.
Yes.
And
I think Lonzo Ball has all the potential in the world.
Yeah,
But okay, defensively and playmaking, he is a top 10 in both of those categories for his position.
Yeah, he can't shoot and he can't drive.
Yes, he does need to work on offensively. But you surround him with players like, you give him a good shooting guard. Say maybe draft someone. Obviously, they're looking to move Drew Holiday, so maybe Josh Hart can take the role. If maybe he'll move up offensively, something like that. You put Brandon Ingram, who's a great isolation player. Now, you put Zion.
League.
Zion's a freak. I mean, as long as Zion stays healthy, that Pelicans team will be scaring top-notch. Like those Lakers and the Clippers, they're not going to want to face Zion in round 1.
No way. Not a chance. No, and they'll probably see Derek Favors leaving in free agency. I don't imagine them re-signing him.
Yeah, I didn't like the fit either. I never liked that fit. I don't think he's a good
allow
fit.
Jackson Hayes to develop behind him.
Yeah.
Jackson Hayes, obviously the 8th overall pick last year, was a lot of people thought he was going to be a project coming in, not really relevant for a couple years. And he had a decent season. He was very good defensively.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to look at him.
Oh my God.
Oh, I know.
He can jump.
He can. I mean, watching him play, the way he blocks shots is incredible.
Yeah.
But no, I'm excited to see Jackson Hayes develop a little bit more, and they'll probably let him take over the reins as the starting center either this year or next year. So
yeah,
here in New Orleans is very, very bright.
Yes, and they just signed Sam Van Gundy.
Yeah, no, I think that was a great hire too.
Yes,
very good hire.
Perfect. He helps develop young guys great. That's what he's done throughout his whole career. He just develops players. And that's exactly what the Pelicans need. If he could get any sort of offensive game out of Lonzo, he'll turn Lonzo into a top, maybe I'll give him like a good 12 to 15 range in point guards.
That's respectable. I mean, that's probably what he should be aiming for this season.
Yes.
That's what he should have been aiming for last season. He didn't really quite get there, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know. If he's going to make a jump, it's got to be this season.
Yeah.
If Lonzo's going to make a jump, he's running out of time.
Soon. He can't have his younger brother already taking him into the league.
Exactly. If he has another mediocre season, I mean, that's what he's going to be the rest of his career. He's going to be a mediocre point guard who can play, make, defend. He'll probably be a backup for most of his career. That's what I'm thinking. But
yeah. Moving on, we'll go to
Brandon Ingram's not leaving. If he did leave.
Whew, that's tough. I think a cool place for him. It literally just popped into my head.
Yeah.
Put him next to John Wall and Bradley Beal. Another third good offensive player, not great defensive player.
If the Wizards had the cap space for that would be a great move.
Yes, but they decided to pay Jan Mahimi $16 million a year a couple years ago.
And as much as I love John Wall, that contract is absurd. Absurd.
No one expected him to get injured for this long, though. I feel bad for the guy.
I know. I love John Wall. I know you love John Wall, too.
Big John Wall fan. I got his jersey sitting right here, so.
Yeah, hopefully he comes back in a big way. But, yeah, they don't have the money to sign Ingram. If they did, that would be an interesting fit.
Yeah.
I know you were talking with me earlier about maybe Ingram in Atlanta with Trae Young.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it happening, but, I mean, it's cool to think about.
It would be cool.
No, that would be a great offensive set. Yeah. I mean, imagine trying to stop those two, and with Trae Young dishing it to Brandon Ingram. And
then John Collins and Clint Capella locking up the paint.
Absolutely.
Solid squad. So let's move on to DeMar DeRozan. He said many times he wants out of San Antonio. He's getting older. He's the mid-range king. Can't shoot a three to save his life, but mid-range king. There were rumors for him going to teams like Atlanta, Orlando, and then Charlotte, teams that are mediocre teams with good cap space and available to take players. So maybe I'm thinking, for Atlanta, if they really are looking to go all in on a playoff berth this season, which personally, if I'm Atlanta, I wouldn't. I would keep developing the guys, draft another young guy, if maybe look to trade for Drew Holiday. I like that fit. But for DeMar DeRozan, I don't really know what I would do,
I mean, DeMar DeRozan's a tough one because there's a lot. I mean, there is some incentive for him to stay in San Antonio as much as he doesn't want to. Especially just if they can if they can use him effectively, he can be a great mentor for a lot of the young guys that they've got coming in. I just think the problem with San Antonio is he wants to be on a contending team.
Yeah.
And so
but then he's also
the two
asking
that
for $26 million a year.
asking for a lot of money, which I don't think a lot of teams are going to want to give him. The two teams that I think he would be a best fit for, I mean, I personally think that the Spurs are better off signing him and then doing a sign and trade. A sign and trade, I think, would be much better.
Yes.
I feel like I feel like the Spurs themselves would get a lot more out of that, and that way DeRozan would be able to get some of his money.
They could probably even get a younger player to help develop them next to, Keldon Johnson, Lonnie Walker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think if you do something like that, I think you could see DeMar DeRozan on a team like the Brooklyn Nets or the Toronto Raptors.
Ooh, that
might be wishful thinking, but I would love to see a return to Toronto.
Yes, I would love that.
He was such an important and integral part to that city, and it was really hard to see them win the championship the one year he wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I think he could provide a really good veteran presence for that team, and he could maybe push them over the hump to becoming contenders in the Eastern Conference, which is only going to get stronger next season.
Yeah.
And the Nets as well. I think that's another team that he could provide that little push. I mean, they've got the dynamic playmaking and scoring with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant.
It's an incredible duo. I mean, no one can discredit that.
DeRozan could come in and be the best third option in the league. If he comes to that team, especially if they do a sign and trade involving Karis LeVert and Spencer Dinwiddie. I mean, the Nets could be looking really good next season.
DeMar has a $27 million player option where if I'm talking to the front office and I'm saying you either sign and trade me or I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Because I'm almost positive he won't get that much money from a different team if he chooses to sign somewhere. And then they'd also give him an opportunity where, say he does a sign and trade, he accepts his player option. He doesn't need to sign an extension. And then in a year from now, say he goes to the Nets for 1 year. He wins a ring with Brooklyn. He can go chase money.
Exactly.
Charlotte Hornets throw him a good $25 million contract, like $25 million over like 4 years. He's getting older. He'll accept anything like that.
Exactly. Because you don't know how much longer his prime is going to be. I mean, he put up all-star numbers last year, but he's getting older. He's getting up there.
Yeah.
He's turned the corner around 30 at this point, so you never know how much longer he's going to be. I don't think teams are going to be wanting to take a chance on a long-term deal with him. So you never know. Yeah.
Speaking of not wanting to, sign long-term deals, Andre Drummond's been on a couple one-year deals recently, and he's got his player option. I don't know I don't think Cleveland's meant for him. I never really liked that idea of bringing him to Cleveland next to Kevin Love. An aging Kevin Love. You got Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, younger guys like Kevin Porter Jr. I feel like Drummond needs to be on a contending team where he can just play his role, which is block shots, get put back layups, and get 17 rebounds a game.
See, if you're Drummond though, he's got the $28 million player option this season with the Cavs, and he's not going to get that money anywhere else. I mean, no team is going to even consider offering him that money because his presence on the floor last year was not felt at all. He contributed the least amount to win shares out of pretty much almost any starter in the league last season.
It was not good.
Andre Drummond just doesn't contribute to winning basketball. I don't think so. And I feel like if he's going to want to make his money, he's going to accept the player option, play one more year in Cleveland. Okay. And then we'll be talking about him next year. That's what I think.
I think right now it's either between like a Cleveland or a team like Charlotte throws in the bag, where Charlotte, say the Warriors select James Wiseman with the second overall pick. They don't need the Charlotte needs their center because they've been dying need of a center since they drafted Cody Zeller and thought he was going to be the future. Yeah, I'll never understand Michael Jordan as a general manager. No discredit, greatest player of all time. Sorry, LeBron, greatest player of all time, but Drummond not a great general manager. So I could see him going to a team like Charlotte, Cleveland.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to be playing on a team that is going to make it done.
He's also not at the age right now where he needs to go ring chasing. Like if we're comparing him to say like a Tristan Thompson or a DeMarcus Cousins.
Andre Drummond's still young.
Yeah.
I mean, he's only 27.
Yeah.
He's been in the league forever. Like
I know.
He came in at an early age, but he's only 27. He has at least 5 more years of his prime left probably. Yeah. And I know centers prime normally last a little bit shorter than most players. But I mean, you never know. He could.
Yeah.
I mean, give it a couple years. I know he's got time to make money. So I think he's gonna accept his money with the Cavs this year. He's in no rush to go contend on a team.
Yeah,
And so I think we'll be talking about Drummond a lot next season.
I agree. So let's move on to a different center who's been going around a little bit. Serge Ibaka. I've seen a couple rumors with him going back to Toronto. I saw a report that the Lakers are interested in him. The Pelicans were considered like maybe to put him next to Zion. What do you think about that?
The Serge Ibaka, as a Sixers fan, he really killed us last year in the conference semifinals against Toronto. He was a huge part on that Toronto championship.
I mean, him and Marc Gasol, they found out a way to lock up Embiid better than anyone. I'm sorry, but you know what I mean.
No, their defense was crucial. I mean, they did the same thing. I mean, I know Kawhi handled a lot of Giannis in the Bucks series, but I mean, the interior defense with Ibaka in there was huge in stopping both Embiid and Giannis in back-to-back series. Obviously, Serge is getting a little older now. He's also over 30.
Yep.
And at this point, he'll probably sign a small deal to be on a contending team.
Yeah.
So if you're the Los Angeles Lakers, that's a perfect opportunity for both of them.
You use your mid-level exception to get a great player like Serge. Like I if I'm the Lakers, I'd probably prefer to go for like a guard, like a shooter. Danny Green, obviously that experiment really didn't work out.
Shooter.
Yeah.
He's not a shooter
anymore. Obviously they might be looking to trade Kuzma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Serge is a huge upgrade over Dwight Howard or JaVale.
Yes. Oh yes, without a doubt.
He would be the clear third best player on that team. And I mean, he provides pretty much the same defensive presence as Howard, but he's better offensively. Yeah. So, I mean, if you're the Lakers, that's probably a really appealing option for you right now.
Yeah.
And I don't really see any other teams in the mix. I think he'll stay in Toronto or he'll go to LA.
I could see that, especially with Marc Gasol retiring and going to play overseas. They kind of need that player next to Pascal because, I mean, Pascal had really bad playoffs in bubble. I mean, he spin move after spin move after spin move didn't work. So
Spicy P was mild P.
looking like playoff P out there.
Exactly.
We'll move on to let's say Gordon Hayward. Very, very interesting because he's making so much money for so little production.
I know it's always a touchy subject when I talk about the Celtics, just because I don't want to see them succeed. But Gordon Hayward has the connection to Brad Stevens, and everyone is assuming that Gordon Hayward's not going to be a Celtic next year. That's like prevailing opinion. I don't know if that's as sure as people think.
I agree with that. He has the player option, which will give him a lot of money again, and that'll also let him be a walking free agent in next offseason.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the player option. I think he's going to want to return to Boston because that seems to be an environment that players like to be in, unless your name's Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I mean, Gordon Hayward seems to love it there. Brad Stevens loves him. The team seems to really like him. I know the chemistry on that Celtics team is fantastic. And so I think Hayward sticks around another year unless they trade him.
Yes, that's what I was going to bring up. I could definitely see a player option sign and trade to a team like Pacers, Indiana for Miles Turner.
Thunder for Steven Adams.
Yes, either one of those I could see happening because Boston's in need of a center. The other top teams in the East. You're going up against Durant now. I mean, Durant's just a monster. You've got Pascal, Joel Embiid,
and the one that killed them this year, Bam Adebayo. They lost that series because of Bam.
Yeah, they really need a center.
Player on the court that entire series. As much as I love Jimmy Butler and how instrumental Jimmy Butler was to that playoff run for the Heat, I mean, Bam was more crucial to that in that series against the Celtics than Butler was.
Yes.
Because the Celtics had no answer for him. Ennis
Cantor and Daniel Tice just couldn't keep up.
I know. Daniel Tice is a great backup center.
Yes. Great backup. If like a Steven Adams came in and he's running 26 minutes a game and Daniel Tice is running 22 minutes a game, I would love it.
Exactly.
But he's not a starting caliber.
Going into this offseason, I thought that the Celtics really should have gone for Jonas Valanciunas.
I like that pickup too.
That was my number one guy that I thought that they should target if they wanted to fill that need. And I think that's also a team that would welcome Gordon Hayward, especially a team that's trying to get some young playoff experience. They're definitely going to be contending next year with Jod and Jaron.
Yes.
So I think if someone like Gordon Hayward would have been really nice to have on that Memphis team. But I haven't really heard any rumors about Valanciunas.
No.
So I guess that's not happening. I feel like the Celtics should take it into consideration, but it really seems to be Adams or Turner right now.
Yeah.
Maybe really does.
Gobert's a long shot, sending Hayward back to Utah. They have
the Boston
picks in the world.
Exactly. The Boston Celtics have a great opportunity right now to go out and contend next season. But they can't do that with the same roster they had this season. They need a center.
Yep.
They do. And the East is only going to get more difficult. So I think the Bucks are only going to improve. The Nets are going to be here with Kyrie.
Tatum's not guarding KD at all.
Yeah, I know. The Sixers are going to bounce back. The Heat are still around. So
everyone's forgetting about the 5 seed that went all the way to the finals.
I know, right? Everyone's talking Bucks, Nets, Celtics. I mean, the Heat beat them all.
Yeah.
Beat them all. So
yeah, another white guy. We'll talk about Danilo Gallinari.
He's so gonna be in South Beach next year. He's gonna be in South Beach next year.
I can see it. He's just an older power forward Duncan Robinson.
Exactly. He's a great rebounder and he's a better defender.
Yep.
Obviously not as good of a shooter, but he's gonna do what Jay Crowder did this year, just so much better.
Yep.
He's gonna fill Jay Crowder, and he's significantly better than Jay Crowder. He's gonna come in and probably average 18 points per game for that team.
Yeah.
So
more scoring. It's more scoring. You could even bring that'd give him a starting lineup. We'll say Dragic walks, because I think for them to bring in Gallo, I think Dragic has to walk based off salary cap. Unless Dragic comes back on a smaller contract. So
Miami has a significant amount of money right now.
Yeah, that is true. So, okay, say Dragic comes back. That's the starting 5. Dragic at the 1, Hero at the 2, Jimmy at the 3. Yeah.
I was gonna say Duncan at the 2. I think they bring Hero off the bench one more year.
Okay, yeah, I could see something.
If they don't bring Dragic back, they said they're gonna start Hero at point guard. Yeah. So either way, you've got Dragic, Hero, Robinson. Those 3 at the top 2 spots.
And then you got Jimmy. And then Gallo at the 4 next to Bam. I mean, that's just a scarier Heat team from this year, because you still have Kendrick Nunn, possibly like a Myers Leonard. I know he wasn't a big part of their playoff run, but during the regular season, he provided valuable minutes on that team.
Kendrick Nunn. I'm not a Kendrick Nunn fan.
I'm not either. The way he played like he was Superman in the playoffs. I was like, what? Like he tried to be this, like when the team was down by 7 with 3 minutes left, he tried to just chuck up threes and be like a closer. And I'm like, you have Jimmy.
He's talented, but he has terrible decision making, and he has very low basketball IQ.
Yeah.
Shot selection was pathetic.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, like that was terrible. It was every time he was on the court, it just seemed like the Heat were a worse team than when he was off the court. So I'm not a Kendrick Nunn fan. I think they should try to trade him while his value is at his peak.
Yep. I agree. Let's go on to a point guard. My favorite position, Fred VanVleet. Guy who torched my Warriors a couple years ago in the playoffs, and I'll never forget that one when the shot clock's winding down and he chucks up a step back 3 and it banks in. God, those moments.
Here's what I'll say about Fred VanVleet. Yeah. I think after AD and Ingram, he's the 3rd best player in this free agency class. I think he's number 3, and I don't think he's going back to Toronto.
Why?
Because he's had to play shooting guard there pretty much the last 2 years because. He used to come off the bench for Lowry. He played backup point guard, but then they transitioned him into the starting lineup this season at shooting guard. And Fred he's not a shooting guard. Mm-hmm. He's a point guard. He's 6'1", and he's small. He's not the most athletic. He's a great defender.
He's not. I don't think he's athletic enough to be a shooting guard.
He's great.
Donovan Mitchell's 6'1", but he's.
And if he's gonna play shooting guard, he's gonna have to play on a team with a point guard like Ben Simmons, who's big and can make up for that lack of size that VanVleet has. So I don't think VanVleet's going to settle for shooting guard. And right now, I don't think the Raptors are interested in trading Kyle Lowry.
No. Unless it's a Milwaukee thing.
There are rumors, but nothing that makes me think that it's going to be something that they'll pursue.
Yeah, I see Lowry as he's a Raptor for life.
Yeah, the rest of his life.
Yeah, the rest of his career. Not
played a little bit earlier in his career. But the thing is, I don't think there's going to be many teams clamoring for Van Vliet either.
Yeah.
Like if you look at
New
teams,
York.
like who's really. So I was going to say, like what contesting teams are trying to get Fred Van Vliet?
They don't have
Not really many.
He's asking for $23 million a year, and if he wants to go to a contender like the Lakers, the Clippers, the Raptors,
Yeah.
he can't do that.
Yeah, the Clippers probably are the best team to try to go for because they're the ones most in need of a point guard.
Yes.
And pretty much every other contender is set at point guard.
Hey,
Not
he
really
was,
the Bucks.
he was great with Kawhi in the past.
He was great with Kawhi in the past. I mean, if they teams back up together, that could be pretty dangerous for opponents. But I don't know. I honestly don't know with Van Vliet. I feel like he's going to sign on a lesser team, a team that won't like the Knicks, maybe the Hornets.
Yeah, I've got written down the Knicks, and then I know Detroit has a lot of interest in him. But like I'll never like playoff Van Vliet is fun to watch. He was like
he always steps up in the playoffs, so I don't know. I mean, he might sacrifice the point guard position to keep making runs.
Also, Lowry is getting older. Eventually, Lowry, they might even move him or he'll sign for a really lesser deal, and they'll realize, Van Vliet might be the starter.
I mean, this is a bold take, but if I'm Toronto, I'd trade Kyle Lowry right now.
And keep Freddie?
Yeah. Because, I mean, they're not going up. They're declining. They're not going to be as good as they've been the last two seasons. I mean, obviously they lost Kawhi. And then this season they outperformed expectations, but I don't think it was because they were especially good. I just think it's because a lot of teams were down. I think a lot of teams were down. The Pacers were injured. The Nets were injured. The Sixers were injured and had everything else wrong with them. Don't even get me started. They're all going to be improved. Miami they're going to be playing at a much higher level in the regular season next year, I think. Yeah. I mean, Washington's got John Wall back now. The Hawks and the Bulls, two young teams, are getting better. I mean, the East is only getting better. Yeah. I feel like the Raptors right now, unless they make some big moves in free agency, are only going to get worse.
Yeah.
So I think it's time to blow it up. I think you keep Van and Siakam as your two key pieces, and you get rid of everything else.
Gotcha.
That's what I think, at least.
Yeah. I never really thought about the idea of trading Kyle Lowry away. I've always thought of, he is getting older. What is he, 30, 32, 33?
He's 32, 33, but he's still a top 10 point guard in the league. Right?
I'm not discrediting him at all. But if you're looking out for your future with Pascal, you want to keep Pascal around. Obviously, he's a very, very talented player. You might have to look to keep Freddie.
Yeah, as much as I like to make fun of Mild P, he's a great player. He had a great regular season, and he struggled a lot in the playoffs because people learned how to defend him.
He's allowed to do that. He's still young. His only championship run was next to Kawhi.
Yeah, he has time to develop his offensive game. I don't think right now, at least unless he improves significantly, he'll be able to be the first option on a championship contending team.
It was a great tied for second option, I would even say, with Kyle Lowry, because Kyle Lowry was huge in those playoffs.
Yeah,
but
he's a great second option. I think he's as good of a second option as they come. But if you're looking to contend, he's got to be a second option.
Yes.
So, unless the Raptors, I don't know what the Raptors are going to do. They don't seem like they're ever interested in rebuilding, and normally that's what great thing about their organization is they haven't had to rebuild in a very long time.
Yeah.
So I wish the Sixers were able to do that, but they continue to contend and they bring in the new young players. So I don't know if they'll be able to keep that trend up. But Lowry.
We'll see.
He's better suited somewhere else.
Raptors. They're like the Eastern Conference Rockets. They could either keep being a mid-tier team from now on right now, or they could blow it all up.
Exactly.
So moving on, we'll go to.
I almost compared them to the Trailblazers too.
Oh yeah, I could see that too.
Trailblazers aren't going up right now; they're going down.
Yes.
Unless they make big moves, they're going down. So,
yeah. Montrezl Harrell, another free agent who isn't probably going to sign with the Clippers.
So overrated.
Yeah.
I'm not a Montrezl Harrell fan. Not at all.
No.
I think he's going to Charlotte. That's what I guess. He's going to Charlotte. It's
probably Charlotte. The thing is, the way I look at Montrezl Harrell, I've seen a lot of things. This guy I watch on YouTube, he said, I think it'd be hard for me to see Montrezl Harrell as a starting center. Montrezl Harrell for the Clippers throughout their playoff runs and everything, he's been the guy to come off the bench. He'd play, 20, 24 minutes a game. in the regular season, and he'd be Mr. Energy. He'd come out there, he'd get putback dunks, and he'd have 4 points and 6 rebounds. But you knew whoever he was on the court. You were looking out for him. For him to now go to a team like Charlotte, where he's like a number 1, number 2 option on that team, maybe behind like Rozier or Devontae Graham, and you're expecting him to play 30, 34 minutes a game as a, what is he, 6'9", maybe 6'8"?
6'9", 7.
Yeah, 6'9". I can't see him succeeding, but I don't blame him for going to a team like Charlotte. Take your money and dip.
Exactly.
He'll be there for 4 years. It's just another bad contract Michael Jordan gives.
First of all, Dennis Schroeder was robbed of 6th man of the year. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Dennis Schroeder was robbed.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I wanted Schroeder or at least Lou Williams to win that award.
No, Schroeder. Schroeder was robbed.
Schroeder was my number 1.
Yes.
But I was like, if one of the LA guys is going to win it, it should be Lou Will.
Yes.
The fact they gave it to Harrell was just disrespectful.
Yeah. Oh my! I was so mad when I found that out.
So good. I love Schroeder. Fantastic basketball player.
Yes, Schroeder. I don't know if we're gonna go on to talking about Dennis Schroeder quick. He'd be such a great point guard for either the Clippers or the Lakers. Like, I could see him fitting well. I could see him fitting so well next to like LeBron. Just hot take.
Or Kawhi.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously. I could another center, center/power forward, Christian Wood.
I really like
an incredible second half of the year.
Yeah, he was great in Detroit, and I mean, he was in Philly before that, and I remember watching him play in Philly for a little. I was like, this kid's decent.
Was he really? I didn't actually. Where did they release him?
Yeah. Yeah, or they traded him. I don't remember exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, he was on Philly for I think a year and a half. He didn't really do much with us, but I was always like, he's kind of talented. He was a backup center for us. Came off the bench for him. But yeah, I think Christian Wood had a big second half of the year. I think it's tough with centers because this is not a center.
He should be Detroit's number 1 priority, in my personal opinion. I'd be shocked if he left Detroit.
Yeah, exactly. And he's young and he's talented. I think that was a great decision for them to get Andre Drummond out of there because of Christian Wood. And they recognize that talent. And if they're going to – I mean, I don't think the team should ever build around center. But if the Pistons trade up first pick, like many claim, they get LaMelo there with Christian Wood.
It's a decent pick and roll duo.
Exactly. You want to have some pieces. And Christian Wood's an important piece for the Pistons to have. Because he's not going to contribute to them not tank. Like, if they're trying to tank right now, he's not going to prevent that. Like, he's a talented player.
Yeah. He's not
going to prevent a tank.
He'll put up 17 and 12, but they're still going to lose games.
But when they do get the pieces together, he's going to be a great fit alongside all those pieces.
Yes.
So I think he should be a huge priority for the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
And he's a talented player. So I don't really see him leaving. That's another one. I don't see him leaving.
Yeah. Let's see. We'll go on to a good scoring shooting guard who's been rumored to go to Milwaukee recently. If Milwaukee, if they can't get a player like Chris Paul or – I don't know. I'm a big believer in trading Eric Bledsoe. I don't think he's a good fit for Giannis at all. Agreed. I don't know. Weird feeling again. I think if they could do an Eric Bledsoe for Dennis Schroeder straight up trade. I like Dennis Schroeder's fit.
I mean, Dennis Schroeder is that who we're talking about? Dennis Schroeder?
Yeah, I just brought it up.
Yeah, no, Dennis Schroeder. I like Dennis Schroeder.
Maybe in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I mean, it's an upgrade over Bledsoe.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
And at this point, if you're Milwaukee right now, you just got to make sure your team doesn't get worse.
You got to make sure Giannis doesn't come to the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah. You gotta give Giannis whatever the hell he wants. You give to Giannis right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, here, Giannis, take it all. We'll go into the luxury tax. We're doing everything for you because if you're Milwaukee, you don't want to lose him.
Mm-hmm.
And this is their year to prove that. I mean, yeah, people say Giannis can get traded. Giannis is not going anywhere. I'm gonna put those rumors to rest. Giannis is not going anywhere this season.
Oh, Wiggins in the second round and the second overall pick is sounding tempting. I gotta say it. If I could talk about bringing Giannis next to Steph and Clay, God, I'll talk about that all day long.
No, you'll talk about it, and I know that's what you want. Realistically, Giannis isn't going anywhere.
Yeah. He
had 2 consecutive MVP seasons. He had the best record in the league this year.
Yeah.
Underperformed a little bit in the playoffs, but
killed by Bam and Jimmy.
That's on Giannis a little bit. I mean, he couldn't
Yeah,
finish.
very much.
He played great through 3 quarters of every game. Every game he was playing great, and then got down to the last
rolled around.
4 minutes. He's the same. I mean, Jason Tatum did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone was criticizing Giannis for selling in the playoffs. I mean, Jason Tatum was fantastic for 3 quarters of every game, and then stole in the last couple of minutes. I don't see any difference.
Was the same way too this year.
Who?
Kawhi.
Okay, no, Kawhi only screwed up one game. Kawhi only screwed up one game.
That's very
The
true.
rest of the playoffs, Kawhi was his usual self. He had one bad game, and now everyone's doubting him.
True.
Which is right.
He shouldn't have had one bad game.
Yeah, that was a very, very bad game to have. So we'll get to that another time. No, Giannis and Tatum both consistently couldn't finish games throughout the playoffs. Every time it got close, neither of them could do what they needed to do to finish the game. And if you're Giannis, then you have to look it upon yourself. You're like, can I be the guy? Can I be the guy to lead his team? Because if so, Milwaukee's a team where he can do that.
Yeah.
If Giannis shows up at the end of games, they can make it to the championship next year. There's no reason that Bucks team can't make the championship. Everyone's underestimating them. I mean, they were on pace to almost be a 70-win team this year.
Yeah.
But people are forgetting about how good that team was before the bubble started. So I don't know, especially if they get fans back. I don't think Milwaukee should make too many moves.
Yeah.
I think they should give Giannis what he wants and leave it at that.
Yeah.
It's his franchise.
I think who I was actually going to talk about before I brought up, for some reason, I talked about Dennis Schroeder again. Bogdan Bogdanovic is rumored to possibly go to Milwaukee.
From Sacramento.
Yes, the Sacramento one. The shooting guard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Milwaukee's a good fit.
I could see it fitting. Just another shooter around Giannis.
He's someone else I'd want in Philly.
For the Sixers?
Yeah.
I could.
If the package
just need shooting. Any shooting.
If the package, we'll talk about the Buddy Hield trade rumors later. But if something Bogdan and Buddy Hield, I would love to see that. Philly. Yeah. But no, Milwaukee, that's a team I could totally see going after Bogdanovic. That seems to be the prevailing rumor right now.
Yeah. We talked about Goran Dragic earlier, but there's rumors about him possibly going to one of the LA teams.
I think he's staying in Miami.
I think he's I don't really think
the culture that they built there and that team chemistry. I mean, they've arguably got best team chemistry in the league besides maybe the Lakers right now. So there's no reason that he would probably want to disrupt that. I mean, his stock went up significantly in the playoffs. He was their leading scorer. Until the finals, at least, he was their leading scorer. So there's no – I mean, his stock is at an all-time high. I mean, if he wants to sign somewhere else where he thinks he's going to make a lot of money, I can see that happening.
I could see him signing a bad team to be a backup for like a 4-year deal because he's just going to get older and worse. And so as long as he secures money.
Yeah. I mean, Dragic, I think he's the type of guy. I mean, I don't know, but I think he's the type of player from what I've seen from him that he would value being on a team like the Heat where he could win a championship in the next few years, then sign big money at a place, a team where he's not going to
New York, Atlanta.
Exactly. I think he's staying in Miami because I think he knows that, especially free agency next year, they make a run for Giannis. I know you don't want to hear that. But as a Warriors fan, I know you don't want to hear that. But, I mean, he knows he can maybe get a chip in a couple of years. Who knows? So I think he's staying around. And I think that's huge for the Heat to try to secure him that he stays.
Yeah, without doubt. For me, my most underrated player in free agency, Jeremy Grant. Stud power forward next to Jokic this season.
That's Syracuse.
Yeah. I love Jeremy Grant's game.
So obviously Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. But without Jeremy Grant, Nuggets don't win that series against the Clippers.
No, not even. Yeah, I loved it.
He was guarding Kawhi Leonard in Game 7.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kawhi has never sold in his entire career before Game 7 of the Denver Nuggets
Before
series.
Jeremy Grant out of Syracuse came in and locked him up.
He took the reigning best player. Kawhi Leonard had the title of best player in the NBA in 2019, and he had a grip on that title along with LeBron all season. And Jeremy Grant pried his fingers off of that title.
Yeah. And then Jamal Murray came out of nowhere, and oh my God.
Kawhi Leonard is not in the conversation for best player in the league anymore, and his big part of that is because of Jeremy Grant.
Yeah.
His defense. If you're the Nuggets, there's no reason you shouldn't sign him immediately. Yes. He should be their biggest priority. He's better than Paul Millsap.
Without doubt. Paul Millsap should walk. So Paul Millsap should walk because he's been making $30 million.
Yeah. Yeah, they should make it a priority to re-sign Durant and line him up with Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, Michael Porter Jr.,
Yes.
and Drew Holiday.
Bradley Beal.
I don't know. I think Holiday's a better fit.
I don't disagree with that, but I just want Bradley Beal to be in a backcourt with Jamal Murray. But at the same time, I am a big believer in John Wall's going to come back and be healthy, and him and Bradley Beal are going to light up that Eastern Conference again. Drew Holiday's a name we'll talk about, but I'd love him on that fit. But as I was talking about with I said if Anthony Davis could go anywhere, I'd love to see him on Phoenix. I think Jeremy Grant's also a perfect power forward fit for Phoenix.
Oh, I agree completely.
I
agree. I mean,
he brings that like weird he'll randomly come in, he'll defend your best player, he'll hit spot up threes, he'll go into the lane every once in a while, he plays hard defense, he's physical, hustle player. I mean, he's just your all around good power forward, and I could see him fitting so well with DeAndre Ayton.
Saric isn't going to be the starting power forward on the Suns team next year. They're going to replace him. If they want to make the playoffs, he won't be.
Oh no.
Yeah. No chance. So I think Grant would be another great fit in Phoenix. I know Denver would be another good one.
Possibly Miami.
I think Utah would be Miami and Utah are other two. I think.
Oh, I didn't think about Utah. Yeah.
I like Utah because I think power forward is their weakest position.
Yeah.
So
that's very similar to me to Phoenix. So I could see the fit,
Yeah. I mean, similar teams. Both teams have an electric scoring shooting guard and then a very, very good center. So the Jazz have just accomplished more.
If I'm Miami though, and I'm looking for an upgraded power forward over Jay Crowder, my rankings would go obviously Gallinari is number one.
Paolo had a Grant, I agree.
And then Jeremy Grant.
Yeah, I agree.
And then if you strike out on both of them, then maybe go for Jay Crowder again. He was a part of the championship team last year. He played his role.
He did play. He was the best. He was the best role players in the. I forgot what it was. One of the finals games where he was their second leading scorer. I think it was the game where Jimmy had 40.
Yes.
That game, Jay Crowder was their second best player in that game. It was Jimmy Butler carrying, and
he
then Jay Crowder
type role.
Yeah.
I mean, he sat in the corner, shoot threes. He'd get rebounds, play half decent defense. That's all Miami needed.
That was a great game of basketball.
Yes.
I loved watching that game. Jimmy Butler. Yeah. I'm a Jimmy Butler fan. So that was fun one to watch. He should have been doing that for us in the finals 2 years ago.
Let's skip to some interesting players. Free agents this year. We got two big names in Boogie Cousins.
Free agents that didn't this past year also didn't have one on the team.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got Boogie Cousins and Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas. God, I love that guy.
Isaiah Thomas should be a Sixer.
You think so?
Tell me he wouldn't be the perfect backup point guard for that team, right? You can hide because the Sixers are great defensively, starter and bench, really good defensively.
Yeah. You
can hide him behind better defenders, right? Yeah. And he provides the shooting and the scoring that you could, especially if he's healthy now. He could be. I mean, it's low risk, high reward.
Yes.
That's
right. You signed Boogie is too. You signed Boogie for a $5 million deal. Low risk, high reward.
Exactly. No, with either of them, IT or Boogie, you could come out and you could get a 20 point per game score. You could.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know right now.
You could also get a guy who sucks for you for 15 games, then you have to cut him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably going to be one of the two.
Yeah.
So why not? I mean, you're not going to have to spend that much money on either of them. I mean, teams that are lacking a good center should go for Cousins, and teams like the Sixers that are lacking good scorers and shooters should go for IT.
What about Boston? For Boogie.
Boston doesn't deserve. Oh, for Boogie.
Yes, not for no. If I could have IT wear a Celtics uniform again, I would do it in a heartbeat. That was my favorite
program.
Dude, that was my favorite season ever. When he was 5th or 4th in MVP voting.
It's the only time I ever rooted for the Celtics was when IT was on that team. Yeah. Because I love IT.
No, but
Boogie the Celtics.
Low risk, high reward center.
True, but I don't think he should be your answer. I don't think you sign Boogie. I don't think you're the Celtics. You sign Boogie and you're like, all right, that's our off season. Let's run it back. You need to do something else too.
I would say yes if he's the last available player. If you miss out on Miles Turner, Gobert,
Has
Steven
to be like
Adams.
last resort. Yeah.
He's a last resort kind of guy where the Brooklyn Nets have traded for Drew Holiday. The Raptors signed Freddie back. The
Yeah.
Sixers get Buddy Hield. And then next thing you know, they're like, oh crap, like we gotta make a move. Boogie, come be our Energize. Come be our Montrezl Harrell. You know?
You never know. I mean, people were all over his case when he was on Golden State. I thought he was serviceable on Golden State.
I watched a
He
lot
was
of
better
Golden
than
State
JaVale
games that
McGee.
year, and oh my,
He was
yes,
better than JaVale McGee.
yeah,
He was on the court. They were pretty good.
yeah. If he didn't get hurt and miss, what was it? He missed like the end of the regular season into like the first first round or so.
He missed the first round, and then he was good. And then in the second and third round, he was huge.
Yeah, he kept getting a little bit hurt, a little bit like jabbed here and there. And
There was one game where he was their leading scorer, and I was like, Boogie's back.
Sacramento Boogie was a fun player to watch, man. I'm hoping that doesn't happen to a guy like
New Orleans Boogie either. New Orleans Boogie was fun to watch too.
Yeah, I don't think I don't know. For me, I think Anthony Davis is a center. I think he'd be just like I when I watch him play, I think I don't think he needs a center next to him. You know, like I think you put him around like I don't know. That's just me. 2K says no. 2K drops his overall like 4 overalls if you change him to a center. I like him as a center, but
I don't think it makes a difference. I think AD is good no matter where he plays.
Oh yeah, but I don't like putting Boogie next to him. I like the chemistry was like weird. Everything was just off.
They won the playoff series when Boogie was injured.
True.
Because Drew Holiday made Damian Lillard his son.
So we'll talk about Damian Lillard in another show. We'll move on to maybe a couple of like backup point guards that we could see coming off the bench and contributing. We'll start with Jeff Teague.
Jeff Teague, Clippers.
Could be a starter on
Clippers.
The Los Angeles Clippers.
Why not? Jeff Teague's a good veteran now. I mean, he's not your answer at point guard.
No.
He's not what you – I mean, but is it an upgrade over Beverly? Probably.
Yes.
Playmaking
wise, yes.
It's an upgrade over Reggie Jackson.
Yes.
And I think that's what you need. I think you need a playmaker. I mean, you've got the defense with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I mean, Beverly's not going to provide that much more help. And Beverly's defense has not been as good in recent years as it was.
I mean, he was such an overrated player, man.
Yeah. He's intense. He brings intensity. He should come off the bench.
Yes. He's like a point guard Montrezl Harrell. He just brings that energy. He'll be on the bench and Duncan Robinson or like KCP will be shooting a corner 3 and he'll be all up in his face like, yeah, you're gonna miss. I know you're gonna like stuff like that. So
he's like a dog.
Yeah. He's great. He's great at what he does. He has one role, and that's to bring energy and play defense, and he's great at doing it.
But I mean, the Clippers. I mean, if you have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, you should contend for a championship. You don't want Patrick Beverly as your starting point guard. Come on. I mean, Teague's not the best option, but it's better than Beverly.
Yeah, I like the Ricky. I've heard the Ricky Rubio fits possibly getting traded to the Clippers. I kind of like that. But these are just all. I mean, we're talking point guard ranked like 20, 21, and 22. If we're talking Beverly, Teague, and Rubio.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll make that much of a difference.
I mean, there's so many good point guards in the league right now. So many good point guards.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not that many good ones available in free agency this year. I mean, your best point guard in free agency is probably Goran Dragic and Fred VanVleet.
Probably, yeah, I'd give it to Freddie, and then Dragic, I guess, would be number 2.
Either of them are top 12 point guards, if you ask me.
Yeah, Freddie's right at that 12 range, but
like it's, and then the only thing you can do is maybe try to trade for Chris Paul.
Yeah,
but that's what every team's going to be trying to do.
Yeah, he's making $41 million this year. There's no you have to throw in a lot to trade. You have to I don't even know how they would do it.
I have no idea.
Their cap space, but I also have Jordan Clarkson written down. You know, he's just a prolific scorer off the bench.
Any contending team would love to have Jordan Clarkson.
Yes.
I think the Lakers will probably make a run at him.
He'd be great. He's just like an upgraded KCP.
I think not as much as a contender. I think the Hawks should make a run at Jordan Clarkson.
Okay. Why?
And that's just because you got a lot of young guys on the Hawks. I think if you bring in Jordan Clarkson, he can help. Look, you got DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish. If you're looking at keeping those two guys with a ton of potential, really didn't put anything together this year.
No.
I mean, if you bring in Jordan Clarkson in, he can really like show them the ropes and like how to be like a great scorer in the NBA.
He's an 18, 19 points per game scorer when he's getting minutes.
He scored. I mean, with the Utah Jazz, with Conley and Bogdanovich hurt, he was their third best player.
Yeah.
Their second best scorer after Mitchell.
Oh yeah.
So I think the Hawks would be a very good fit for him.
Yeah. He's just a perfect scorer.
Yeah. And he would love to have him.
Yeah. Let's say wrapping up the free agents. We'll wrap it up with a couple like interesting like let's say we'll end with old Lakers. Possibly returning Lakers. So we'll start with Dwight Howard.
Dwight Howard.
I personally would just. The thing is, though, the more I think about it, so I am a big Wiseman fan. I mean, I really want if we draft Denny Avdia, shut up. If we draft Denny Avdia, then I would take in Howard. But say we draft Wiseman, I wouldn't spend more money into a Dwight Howard. I think Marquise Chris is such a great backup for the Warriors. Yeah. So
Howard, I think he's a little overhyped. Good defender. He's not a starting center.
No, he could go to the Clippers though. Be a backup to Zubac. Yeah. Maybe
he should stay in LA.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking, I mean, he had the best season of his career in the last like 3-4 years in LA. So I think you just stay there. You just keep trying to win championships. I mean, Dwight Howard. He's put together a Hall of Fame career. I think he has. So at this point in his career, he should be like, I'm just going to put myself in the best position to win championships.
Yeah.
Well, do you thinks that's the Lakers or the Warriors? I don't know, but
Boston maybe.
I think he's got the chemistry there right now too.
Yeah. So. I don't know if you saw this, but did you see his Instagram live after he won the championship? When he was sitting there with the trophy, just crying, he was like, "Never." That was one of the. I remember. I watched the end of the finals, and I clicked. I saw Dwight Howard was live on Instagram, and I clicked on it. It's just him like crying, like never give up on your dreams. All this.
I'd like him a lot more if there wasn't all that drama with his son.
Yeah.
Like
no, I'm so happy for Dwight.
His son like hates him.
Really?
Because he's a bad father. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Apparently his son has some serious beef with him, and like he's like calling out as being like an absent father and like never wanted to spend time. I don't know, but I've read articles about that. Like it's made me a lot less sympathetic for Howard.
No, he's been a player who's he was great in Orlando, led them to a chip, and then he went to like 6 or 7 different teams in 6 or 7 years.
He was the last dominant center in the NBA.
Yeah,
we haven't seen a center as dominant as him since him.
I know, yeah. I mean, the only people who have come close would be like a Boogie, but Boogie couldn't lead Sacramento to the playoffs.
I mean, the best centers since Dwight ended his prime have been Boogie, Jokic, and Embiid. None of them have been even close to what Dwight Howard. I mean, Jokic.
Best center in the league.
He is the best center in the league. As a Sixers fan, I will admit Jokic is the best center in the league right now.
That took, trust me, everyone, that took him a long time to admit. I told him for the past year that Jokic was the best center in the league.
The playoffs convinced me. But I mean, if Jokic keeps up that high level of play, I think he could one day overpass Howard.
Yeah,
Howard's we haven't seen a center be the best player on a team going to the championship in the last 10 years.
Yeah,
it's the way.
Yeah,
it just hasn't happened. It's been LeBron, Curry, Durant, and Kawhi.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
Jimmy.
How Jimmy? Put Jimmy's name in there. Yeah.
He deserves it.
Yeah, since 2011, since Dirk, it's been those. Literally
Dirk, that playoff run has to go down in the history. Great playoff run. Yeah. We'll go on to Rondo. The playmaking point guard. Maybe the Clippers are. They're looking for.
I think he'll stay in LA too.
Yeah, I don't see him leaving either.
Out of all these Lakers guys, I think they're all gonna stay.
KCP, JaVale,
Dwight,
Caruso's untouchable. I mean, Caruso is a Los Angeles Laker.
The guys you could see leaving LA this year for me are Danny Green and Kyle Kuzma.
And you know what's going to happen? This is, I hope this happens. I don't know if this will happen or not, but I would love Danny Green and Kyle Kuzma to go to Detroit for Derrick Rose and see Derrick Rose be able to compete for a championship. I'd love it. I mean, I'm not even a huge Derrick Rose fan. I mean, when people compare his MVP season to Westbrook's MVP season, we've been
Rose,
over this so many times. I'll take Westbrook's MVP season every single time.
okay, but Rose led his team to the best record in the league. Westbrook was a 6 seed.
Give me Westbrook's season, man.
Derrick Rose, they went 62-20, and that was with Joakim Noah and Luol Deng both missing 20 games. And Derrick Rose was 23 years old, and he led them to 62-20 in the LeBron Heat East.
Give me Westbrook's
I'm taking Derrick Rose.
Westbrook was the most I've never seen Westbrook shoot that well from three in his career. He finally was able to pick it up from three.
He wasn't efficient though. He was never very efficient.
He could put 40 shots on the team and no one would care.
I know. I've been a Westbrook defender for years.
Yeah.
I have. I've always loved Russell Westbrook, and I love his energy. And I've always said he's been a top 3-point guard for years now. I don't think he is anymore. I think this year he's dropped out of the top 3. But before this year, the last 8-9 years, he's been a top 3-point guard.
Yes.
And obviously long term, I think obviously he's ahead of Derrick Rose all time.
Oh, without a doubt.
Not even close. But if you just look at their MVP seasons individually, I'll take Derrick Rose's over Russell Westbrook.
That's a tough disagree for me.
Both
of them are worse than Steph Curry's.
That is Curry's 2016.
Yes.
Not the 2015. I'd take Rose over the Curry 2015.
Oh, I wouldn't, but I'm biased.
Yeah.
So
I take Curry 2015 over Russ.
Oh, really? Yeah. Interesting.
I think Curry 2015 and Westbrook, I think, are the 2 worst MVPs of the last decade. But
okay, fair enough.
And I love Westbrook. I'm just saying that just because he's the only one out of the last 10 MVPs to not lead his team to like one of the best records in the league.
Yeah.
He's the only MVP in NBA history for their team to not be one of the 8 best records in the league.
Yeah.
So
let's stay on the topic of Westbrook. What's gonna happen with him this year? Do you think he's gonna get moved from Houston?
If I'm the Houston Rockets, I trade
blowing it up.
Blow it up.
Yep.
You're not winning anything.
No.
I mean, I've heard speculations that they try to acquire some small ball stuff. Small ball stuff. It's not
meant for the Rockets.
They realized it didn't work. So the only team
trial and error.
It's never going to work for any team you need unless the team you're going against. But there's always going to be Anthony Davis's. There's always going to be Bam Adebayo's. So the Rockets, the Celtics were kind of running the same thing. It's never going to work. No. As long as there's good centers in the league, it's never going to work. So
even even to good dominant power forwards. I don't think it'd work against a Siakam either, unless you have a Draymond Green.
Yeah. I've heard a lot about Vucevic, them trying to trade for Vucevic. Is Vucevic really going to elevate them to a championship team? No. Vucevic is great. He was great in the playoffs.
But no.
He averaged 28 and 11 or something against the Bucks. He went off, but
yeah, but he's not good. He's also on the Magic.
Yeah, he's not good enough.
He's sharing the ball with Aaron Gordon, who I am. God, I'm not an Aaron Gordon. I'm not an Aaron Gordon fan or Aaron Gordon fan.
You are a John Isaac fan.
I love John Isaac. I think John Isaac. I think if the Magic are going to do anything, you gotta keep John Isaac and you gotta get rid of Aaron Gordon.
Okay.
Do not trade Aaron Gordon to the Warriors for the number 2 pick, please. Bob Myers, do not trade for Aaron Gordon.
They won't.
I've seen I've seen that in so many rumors, and I'm like, Aaron Gordon is not worth that pick.
It's not.
But
the Rockets should blow it up.
Yes.
Simple.
I don't know who they should just trade for picks on picks on picks. If that means Westbrook's gonna have to go to New York, it means Westbrook's gonna go to New York.
Westbrook is going to be in New York next season.
You think
Mark my word. I think Russell Westbrook's going to be a Knicks.
Okay.
I don't know what the Knicks are going to do.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. You want to trade him for Embiid.
I think Harden I think Harden and Westbrook will still be on the Rockets when the season starts.
Okay.
I think they're going to start the season. They're not going to have made any big free agency signings, and they're going to realize this isn't working.
Nope.
And by the trade deadline, Westbrook and Harden will both be gone.
Wow.
Because James Harden's a free agent next year. Yes. If they really think he's not going to re-sign with them, which I don't think he is, I think if he even manages to last this whole season on the Rockets, I don't think he re-signs with them next year.
Me neither.
So I think if the Rockets realize that they're not gonna win a championship this year, and they don't think Harden's gonna resign, I think they ship him out by the trade deadline.
Yeah.
And I think the same with Westbrook.
Yeah. No, I don't
Oh.
see Westbrook. I don't see Westbrook and Harden fitting together anymore. They're both just so ball dominant players. When Chris Paul was traded for Westbrook and they gave up so many picks for Westbrook, I was like, that was a hell of a trade for the Thunder, man. Like, yes, listen.
Chris Paul better than Westbrook this season.
Yeah, Russ is a Thunder to me. Russ will be a Thunder for he's an Oklahoma City Thunder point guard. I don't think anything he does for the rest of his career, unless he is a decent player on a championship contender team, if he in a couple of years he takes a pay cut, and joins I don't know, the Clippers or the Lakers or something like that, right? But
the best floor raiser in the league.
Yeah,
he's not a floor raiser.
No,
you put Westbrook on a team like the Knicks, they're going to be a top 5 or 6 team in the East next year. They are. Even with nothing else, they will be. But if you put him right now on
6 to 9,
what?
I'd give him 6 to 9 seed. I don't know if they might not even make the playoffs.
They'd make the playoffs.
East is looking good.
I mean, it wouldn't be any worse than the Russ Thunder teams, and every Russ Thunder team made the playoffs.
True. I could see that.
So I mean, he's one of the best floor raisers in the league. But if you put him on, say, the Bucks don't get any better. I'm sorry, they don't get any better.
I could see them even getting worse.
Maybe.
Chemistry-wise, I don't see them working out.
One exception after that is I think he would be a good fit on the Clippers. I think Westbrook and Kawhi would be a very, very good duo.
Kawhi would show him up. Westbrook takes one more 3-point shot after he's three.
Keep him in check. Kawhi would keep him in check. He wouldn't let Westbrook.
Harden can't do that.
Everyone always is like, Kawhi's not a leader. Kawhi is a leader. He's just a silent one.
Yes.
He leads by example.
Yes.
And everyone always respects him as the number one guy on the court all the time. He's earned the respect of all the other players. So if Westbrook comes to LA and he teams up with Kawhi, he's going to recognize it's Kawhi's team, and Kawhi's not going to let him take bad shots at the end of the game. And
I don't know how money-wise it would work out, though.
That's the one thing. That's why it's more of a hypothetical.
Yeah.
But I think it would really work because Westbrook has the intensity, and Kawhi has the opposite of intensity. He has he's got I think he's
the claw. He's the silent killer.
He's the silent killer. And I think that would balance out really well.
Yeah. While we're on topic with the Clippers, do they trade Paul George? The reason I'll start this one. The reason I say no is because whatever you get in return is not Paul George. You could trade him to Brooklyn for Karis LeVert, Jarrett Allen, and a first-round pick. That's not going to be Paul George for you. I don't think Kawhi leads that team. Yes, they're contenders. I don't think that's a championship team. I think Paul George, his stock right now is so low based off of how he
was terrible.
He played awful.
Terrible.
He played awful.
He was worse than if he just wasn't even on the floor.
Yeah.
The Clippers would have been better off if he just was injured and didn't play the entire playoffs. They would have been better off.
But it's Paul George, and we've seen what he can. He was two seasons before that. He was top 3 in MVP. He was 3rd,
and he still scored 5 points in the playoff game. Though.
Okay, regular season wise, he was MVP.
Regular season's never been the problem with Paul George. No. It's never been.
In Indiana, his playoffs were very, very solid. He almost led that Indiana team to beat the Miami Heat.
And I agree with you on that.
With the help of Danny Granger, Lance Stevenson.
And and I won't even credit his supporting cast. He had a good supporting cast, but he was the only superstar on that team.
Yeah.
But it was also now 6 years ago.
Yes.
It's been 6 years since Paul George.
Really? That's kind of crazy to me. Wow.
2013, 2014.
That was remember Paul George is a poster on Birdman?
Yep.
Great.
Yep. Pacers Paul George was built different.
Yeah.
If Pacers Paul George was on the Clippers last season, they're winning the title.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He got pandemic P instead, and we saw how that turned out. No, I didn't really answer the question, and I think overall, I think it's up to Kawhi Leonard. I think the Clippers organization has to prioritize Kawhi.
Jerry West.
Because look, Kawhi could leave next year. He's got 1 year left on his deal.
So does Paul George.
Exactly. He could play one more year and dip. So what the Clippers organization has to do is they have to go to Kawhi and be like,
What do you want?
what do you want?
It's Milwaukee all over again.
Same thing with Giannis.
Yeah.
What do you want? Because if, like Milwaukee, if Kawhi plays one more year, they don't win a championship, and he leaves, that organization is in the rut for 10 years.
Oh, they're done.
In the rut for 10 years.
Oh my God.
So their number one priority right now should be one of two things: either get Kawhi what he wants to stay, or trade Kawhi and PG right now and get assets back to build for the future.
Oh yeah.
But I think if they think that they can contend again, and I think that's going to be what they're going to do. They're not going to trade Kawhi.
Yeah.
They're gonna prioritize Kawhi, and they're gonna ask him what he wants to do. And so I think it all rests on Kawhi's shoulders.
Okay. What
they should do, I'm honestly not sure. I don't know how to fix that.
I really hope Paul George has a bounce back here. I've been a fan of Paul George for a long time. Like when he signed with the Clippers, we were both here like done. Season's over.
Yeah.
I mean,
not season over. I was like, yeah, Clippers over Lakers. That's
what the whole West was. It was Clippers over Lakers or Lakers over Clippers. Yeah. No one expected Denver. No one expected Miami. Like no one expected half the teams who made it to the playoffs to be that good in the bubble.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
The Clippers are a tough one. I really want them to be competitive next year because we didn't get it this year. I want that Clippers-Lakers series next year. I don't care. I want to see LeBron and Kawhi play against each other in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's all I cared about seeing this year.
To face KD and Kyrie.
Exactly. This whole season, to me, was a humongous letdown. I was so disappointed, and it was only because we didn't get Clippers-Lakers.
Yeah.
That's it. That's why I thought this year's playoffs was underwhelming, because we didn't get the playoff series that I was on.
I've loved Jamal Murray for years now, and so seeing Jamal Murray succeed and go to the conference, I'm not going to say I wasn't disappointed because I was right on board with you. I wanted to see that Kawhi LeBron matchup, see how Anthony Davis could feast on Zubac, but then how Paul George could have cooked, a KCP. So excited for that matchup. Whoever that was going to be, that was like the king. Whoever won that is the crown of the NBA.
Yep. And we didn't even get it.
And somehow Jamal Murray pulled it out.
Despite that, I still think the Clippers could have beaten the Lakers in a 7-game series. I think they could have.
Not with the way Paul George was playing.
What?
Not with the way Paul George was playing.
Yeah, PG was. Yeah.
No. They don't have a playmaker. They half the time Kawhi was bringing the ball up. If you would watch him with the Raptors, Kyle Lowry was that ball dominant point guard who was great for them.
Exactly.
He would take charges.
I guess that's the difference between LeBron and Kawhi, right? I mean, LeBron, he doesn't need a point guard. Kawhi does.
He is a point guard. LeBron, I will say this until the day. LeBron is a point guard.
Yeah.
Rondo played the greatest shooting guard on that team, but he just played point guard. Like it was just, I don't know. Yeah.
You know what? The only way that LeBron and Kawhi are in the same class is they both won a championship despite having the handicap of Danny Green on their team. Kawhi's done it twice. I mean, that's incredible.
That's true. Back in San Antonio.
Good in San Antonio. He's been horrible the last 2 years.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Speaking of, should a trade be made? I think everyone's expecting Chris Paul to be moved. I mean, OKC's going in full rebuild mode. I am so excited to see what OKC does in the next couple of years. They have, 13 to 15 picks in the next 5 years. They have a $41 million Chris Paul contract on their hands. They have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, one of the best up-and-coming players in the league. I put him at I think we've discussed this. We'll put him at the same tier as a John Morant and a Trae Young.
Absolutely.
And so when Chris Paul gets moved, where do you think he'll get moved to?
Well, first, a little note on the Thunder is the 2020s are going to be Luka Doncic and the Mavs.
Yes.
The 2030s, that's going to be the Thunder. With all the assets they've collected, there's no way they can screw up the 2030s.
They can't do it.
That's
so far away. We're talking 10 years now.
Unless they draft like the Sixers did, they should be fine. Unless
they just can't draft Markelle Fultz.
Markelle Fultz and Jahlil Okafor instead of Jason Tatum and Kristaps Porzingis, then you never know.
I'm so sorry. I could feel the pain in your voice.
When we took Mikal Bridges right over Michael Porter Jr. and then traded Mikal Bridges for Zaire Smith, who's been wonderful for us.
Yeah, fantastic for your G League team. But
I get on rant about the Sixers.
no, for me, I would love to see Chris Paul contend with Milwaukee.
Yeah, that's my number one destination for him. Chris Paul goes to the Bucks.
Puts him
They're
over
right.
the hump.
I wouldn't be ready to put them ahead of Brooklyn and Kevin Durant and the Nets right now.
Nope, but they'd be tied.
They'd be right there.
Yep.
It'd be great. I mean, I'd probably put the Bucks ahead of them, honestly. I mean, it's close. It's close.
It's very close. It also depends on something like a Drew Holiday trade to the Brooklyn Nets.
Nets get Drew Holiday. Call it a day.
Yeah.
Call it a day.
They need to do that. They need to pull the trigger and trade. I would love Karis LeVert to be in a Pelicans jersey. He brings the scoring. He's the, I don't know how to put this. You know how Kyrie, say the Nets get Drew Holiday. Kyrie's the offensive player. You know, Drew Holiday's the defender. Also a decent offensive player. You put Karis LeVert next to Lonzo Ball, it's like the opposite. Obviously, Lonzo Ball's not going to be great, but Lonzo Ball is not going to have to score more than 10 points a game for them to win that if Karis LeVert's on that team.
Imagine you're playing defense, and you have to go up against, on the wing, Karis LeVert and Brandon Ingram.
And then say they throw Jared Allen in the trade.
Yeah, and then if you have to slide inside a little bit, you got Zion right there.
Yeah. And if they can possibly get Jared Allen, you got Jared Allen defending the paint, and then you have Lonzo Ball, who's a top 5, in my opinion, top 5 perimeter or top 5 defending point guard in the NBA.
Would you rather have Jared Allen or Jackson Hayes?
Jared Allen.
I disagree. I'd rather have Jackson Hayes.
I get why you say that. For next season, give me Jared Allen. Career-wise, I'll take Jackson Hayes. I think Jared Allen's reached his peak.
Yes, he's never going to be better than he is right now.
No.
Jackson Hayes, I think he's going to be in his peak. I think he's going to be better than Jared Allen's peak.
Yeah, unless he turns out to just be
If you're the Pelicans, I'd rather focus on keeping Jackson Hayes around than trading for Jared Allen.
Yeah. No, I love a Drew Holiday for Karis LeVert and a couple pick swap, because then it also gives you like the opportunity to, make more draft selections. You already have Josh Hart coming off the bench. Nickeil Alexander-Walker really didn't get much playing time.
You might be able to get Spencer Dinwiddie in that too. If you don't get Jared Allen, you could get LeVert and Dinwiddie.
Dinwiddie, I don't know. Dinwiddie is so ready to play with that, come off the bench for that Nets team, and I'm so excited for it.
I loved it. I've always been a huge Dinwiddie fan. He's a fantastic player. He'll you know what? He could be in contention for 6th man of the year next year.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
All I'm saying.
He'll be on the 1 or 2 seed. He'll probably come average 18. He'll play like a Dennis Schroeder role, average a good 18, 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Off the bench. If Kyrie has recently had some injury problems. If Kyrie gets hurt again, Spencer Dinwiddie's he's far off.
He's a very serviceable backup point guard.
Yes, without a doubt.
He's better than serviceable. I mean, he's a good enough starter on most rosters.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably better than at least 30 to 40% of starting point guards in the league.
Oh yeah.
So.
There have been a lot of rumors about Chris Paul going to the Phoenix Suns to pair up with Booker and Ayton. I am a huge fan of this. I think Chris Paul. Okay, I would love it if they could trade for Chris Paul and keep their draft pick. If they can somehow keep, what do they have, 9 or 10?
They have 10.
They have 10, yeah. Say they draft a prospect point guard with that 10th pick.
Kira Lewis Jr.
Yes.
Sorry, we'll get the draft next week.
Yes.
Kira Lewis Jr. Keep that name in mind. Say
they draft a point guard at 10. You have Chris Paul comes in, immediately makes them a playoff team, a top 6 team in the West. You're also developing young talent, because Chris Paul's going to put he's going to make Cam Johnson learn his ways. He'll turn Cam Johnson to literally a Danilo Gallinari in 2 days. Mikal Bridges he'll be a great 3-and-D. That's been his role his whole career. Yep. DeAndre Ayton, I think, would benefit drastically with a Chris Paul. Devin Booker's he's Devin Booker.
No matter what, okay, I'm going to say this.
Mm-hmm.
This is I don't know if it's a bold prediction, but it's a prediction. Devin Booker will win an MVP in the next 5 years.
As long as Phoenix does something to contend, yeah.
Exactly. I think they will. And, I mean, there's a lot of rumors saying that Devin Booker wants out of Phoenix.
I've seen that. I don't believe it.
I don't know. I just think Devin Booker wants to win. He is a he's a winner. You can tell that he is a winner, and that's
Get
what
that shot against the shot against the Clippers in the bubble.
he wants to win.
Showed
He's sick of not making the playoffs. He's sick of. I mean, when you're a youngster, yeah, it's nice scoring 20-something points per game, even if you're not making the playoffs. It's like, all right, I'm just getting my.
It's nice putting 70 points on the Celtics dome.
Yeah. But now he's getting by older. I mean, he only 24, right?
Yeah.
He's 20. I think he's 23 or 24.
He wants to win. He just wants to win.
And he's got 10 years of a prime ahead of him. Yeah. 10 years. He's gonna win an MVP one of these days. I'm telling you.
As long as Phoenix does the right moves to keep them in a little bit of contention, I can see. Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
If builds around him, he'll stay.
Yeah.
But if Phoenix doesn't make the moves necessary to get something around him, I could see him getting out of there.
Yeah.
Going to Minnesota.
That's why I think they almost have to go for Chris Paul. They have to just show that they're willing to do something. Even if Chris Paul gets traded to Milwaukee, because say Milwaukee throws the Thunder a better package.
Yeah.
At least they're trying. They're showing Devin Booker they want to win.
And Rubio was a step in the right direction this past year because it gave someone who could play point guard. It was a step in the right direction, though. They didn't want Booker having to play point guard and leading scorer.
Yeah.
So it was a step in the right direction. But Chris Paul's an upgrade, or a huge upgrade over Rubio. Huge upgrade.
Huge. Chris Paul was I'd give him probably the fourth best point guard this year. Maybe top 3.
If you're taking out Curry and Kyrie.
Yes.
Because they were injured. Yeah, you put Dame ahead of him, Luka.
That might be it.
Maybe Westbrook. Regular season Westbrook. I mean, Westbrook did average.
If I'm going all season, give me Chris Paul at 3 and Westbrook at 4.
Yeah, statistically, Westbrook put up better numbers, but I'd probably rather have Chris Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I was so rooting for the Thunder to win that Game 7 game against the Rockets.
James Harden wouldn't let it happen with the block.
So, I can't wait to see what ends up happening with James Harden. But
I didn't see him in a different situation, not in Houston.
Yeah, maybe not really a different situation, but maybe still under Mike D'Antoni.
I love him in Philly.
Yeah.
As long as you don't have to get Simmons spawn.
Yeah. Another shooting guard. Say that again?
I'll give up Embiid. I don't want to give up Simmons.
That's a topic for a different day.
But I could talk about Embiid and Simmons for hours.
I know you could. If we're gonna talk about shooting guards, another Victor Oladipo. He's been injury prone. He's been weird. It's weird. You don't know if he's gonna come back and average 20 or he's gonna come back and average 13. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
Milwaukee
before his injury, Victor Oladipo was amazing. I was a huge Oladipo fan. There was a time he was a top shooting guard in the league.
Yeah.
He took LeBron to 7 games.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone hypes up LeBron's 2018 run with the Cavs. It was 2018, I think.
Yeah.
That when they played. Yeah. It was 2018, I think, and it was just LeBron and the Cavs. I mean, Oladipo didn't really have much of a supporting cast in Indiana, and he took him to 7 games.
Yeah. All heart.
Testament to Oladipo, or kind of a knock at LeBron and his
I'd say a testament to Oladipo.
Or Cavaliers roster. But Oladipo was amazing.
Yeah.
And he got injured, and this season he came back.
The same.
He wasn't even a top 3 player on his own team this year.
No. Well, TJ Warren came out of
Warren, Domantas Sabonis, and Malcolm Brogdon were all better than Oladipo this season.
Yes, Malcolm Brogdon should not have left, or Milwaukee should not have let Malcolm.
Brogdon. That was Milwaukee's biggest mistake, letting Brogdon.
Bledsoe over Brogdon. What are you doing?
Brogdon was the point guard that Milwaukee needed this year.
Yes.
But they didn't want to go into the luxury tax. That's it. They didn't want to go to the luxury.
Small market teams don't want to go in the luxury tax to win when you have a once in a generation talent in Giannis. You have a 2-time MVP who said, "Do not tell me I have an MVP until I win a championship." And then the GM is not willing to go into a little bit of luxury tax to sign one of the top playmakers, 50, 40, 90 club point guard.
Yep.
And keep Bledsoe? Come on.
Yep.
But I could see Oladipo maybe fitting into that team. And Oladipo, Bogdan, I don't know if it puts them over the hump though.
I don't think Oladipo is a hot prospect. I don't think teams really want Oladipo right now.
That's why I'm saying if Milwaukee could get him for cheap, then
Yeah,
I think it's worth it because he's also like a medium risk, medium reward. You
yeah.
know,
I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen with Oladipo because I originally thought Miami was gonna be his destination, but then Miami came out and said they wanted nothing to do with Oladipo.
they got Tower Hero, dude. I don't blame him.
I really don't know what the move is for Oladipo. All I know is that he's not someone that teams are desiring, and I don't think he's gonna be a big impact on the team. I think Oladipo's prime is past him. As
Yeah,
much as I hate to say it, I'm a big Oladipo fan. I think his prime is past.
yeah, I completely agree. Um, I think we could probably end up talking about our two favorite teams. Why not? We'll end our first ever episode talking about. We'll talk about Buddy Hield a little bit. I know you really want a Buddy Hield for Al Horford swap.
Okay, no, not a swap. Obviously, I look. If we give up Horford and 2 first rounders for Buddy Hield, I'm game.
Wow, you're willing to give up that much? 2 firsts?
Just for the burden of taking on Horford's contract.
That's fair.
Who the hell is gonna want Al Horford right now? It's like we're basically compensating them for taking on Horford. That's it.
Yeah. That's the funny thing is that's with Buddy Hield saying he wants out.
Yeah, Buddy Hield wants out of there. And I was thinking about this, right?
Yeah.
With Buddy Hield and the Kings, Drew Holiday and the Pelicans, and Karis LeVert and the Nets.
Yeah.
I think all 3 of those teams, if we gave them enough picks, would be willing to take on Horford. And I think we would be getting a great shooting guard back in response. Right now, Buddy's probably the one. I mean, overall, I like LeVert the most out of those 3 for the future. I'm a big Karis LeVert.
I agree with that, but I think for the fit wise, I'd probably take Buddy.
Buddy would probably be the better fit. Exactly. Yeah. I would do it in a heartbeat. I mean,
I would do any 3 of those in a heartbeat.
Terrible anyways. So what the hell are those 2 picks going to get us? Probably 2 guys who will be in the G League in 2 years.
Yeah, no, 2 more Zaire Smiths.
Yeah, and I just want to get Al Horford out of Philly. I want nothing to do with him anymore. I hate that he's on the team. I hate that we're paying him.
24, 25 mil a year?
We have ever made, what?
24, 25 mil a year, right? So it's somewhere in that range.
And even after that, we still have to deal with Tobias Harris.
Yeah.
Well, he's getting paid
30, 40, 35, 36.
Yeah. To be a third option, scoring 15 points per game and not really providing anything else.
Nope. Rough, man.
We're in the hole. We screwed up.
Yeah.
We screwed up big. It's going to take a lot to get us out. And it means probably trading away.
I think flipping, honestly, now Al Horford for anything is going to be an upgrade.
Anything that would take on Al Horford's contract, I would give up.
Yeah. And then
as long as we're not giving up Matisse Thybulle and picks.
Yeah.
I love Matisse Thybulle. I think that's actually the right draft choice we made. Like for the first time in a while. I really like that draft selection.
But the thing
I don't
is,
want to give up that
there's
easily.
there's been so many rumors where if you're going to give up Al Horford's contract, you have to give up Matisse because no one wants him.
I don't want to give up Matisse and multiple picks.
Yeah, that's tough.
That would be a mistake. If we gave up Horford, Matisse, and 1 first rounder, I would be on the fence about it. I really want to keep Matisse.
Depending on how Buddy Hield really did fit in, which I think he's a 20, 22 points per game scorer on that team.
Absolutely. He's probably our second leading scorer after Embiid.
Yeah.
Unless Simmons learns to shoot the ball. But,
yeah.
I mean, I've given up on hoping that. At this point, I've accepted that he's never going to be able to make a freaking
and you can't keep relying on Joel Embiid bringing the ball up and just pulling up for 3 every other.
I'd rather Simmons be taking threes than Embiid taking threes. I mean, Embiid. This is a topic for another time. I could rant about Embiid's and Simmons' shooting abilities for.
Oh, trust me, you've been doing it for years to me, so I love it. We'll end it off. We'll ask one final question. To end it off. It's been a pretty eventful podcast today. It's a good first one. Hopefully people have made it this far. We'll end it off with a banger. Giannis. If you could choose any 3 teams to see Giannis go to, say after this year, they get the 1 seed. They lose in the second round to the Brooklyn Nets. And Giannis is like, I'm done. If you could choose 3 teams and then rank them 3 to 1, give me your 3 teams.
So this is Milwaukee's not one of these 3 teams.
No.
Because as an NBA fan, I want him to stay in Milwaukee as long as possible because I think that keeps the league even.
Besides
I don't want
Golden
him.
State, yes, I agree with. I want Milwaukee.
3 teams I would want to see Giannis on, not in any order or anything. 3 teams that I would want to see. Golden State would definitely be one of them, just because I think Steph Curry. I mean, it would unbalance the league a lot, and I wouldn't like that because it would be the Warriors would be big time favorites again. But just as a basketball fan, as someone who just loves watching basketball, watching Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Giannis Antetokounmpo play together,
that's
one of the greatest teams of all time.
That's arguably better than Durant's team.
That's a 70-win team.
At least.
It should be.
Better not be. I swear to God, we go 73-9 and lose another championship.
If Curry and Klay are the same players they were as before, which I think they will be, that team's incredible. So I would love to see that. I would be fine. See, I know this isn't a rumor that's out a lot anymore. I kind of would like to see him in Toronto, because Toronto is another team that I think would always contend with Giannis, but they would never be a super team. They would never overpower the East. It would suck for the Sixers because that means Giannis is sticking in their division.
Yeah.
But I just think in Toronto, I think Giannis would be the best player on the team. He'd have a lot of talent around him, but it wouldn't be like, oh, Toronto's going to win it every single year.
Yeah.
I mean, not this year, because I think it would be completely disrespectful to what he did to
Miami.
Yes. I think Jimmy Butler and Giannis together would be fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Jimmy would be a good fit. I'm not sure though, because Jimmy's always fit better as the best player on the team.
Yes, he is.
He's got to be the alpha. He's got to be the alpha dog.
Yeah.
So I don't know how Giannis coming in would impact that, but it would be fun to watch. And I liked when LeBron went to the Heat because I just thought that was a good, the Heat, South Beach. Who doesn't love to see the Miami succeed, right?
Of course.
And there's one of those franchises that I feel like everyone loves.
Yeah.
You gotta love the Miami Heat. You gotta love
I like them. There's nothing to dislike about the Miami Heat. They don't play dirty. They're fun to watch. They were so fun to watch in the playoffs when Tyler Hero was pulling up from deep. You had Duncan Robinson coming off 17 screens and just chucking them up. Bam playing at almost a defensive player of the year, like in the playoffs. I mean, he was incredible defensively. Jimmy playing at M.V.P level. Yeah, amazing. I wish they had Dragic, man. Wish they had Dragic in that series.
And Bam.
Yeah. I would completely agree with your 3 teams for Giannis. Although this would ruin the NBA for the next probably 25 years.
Don't say Dallas.
It would be so fun to watch
Luka.
There's a
reason I didn't say Dallas. Because if Luka and Giannis are on the same team, you might as well give the Mavericks
the chip. It's over.
6 or 7 championships.
Luka by the end of this season is going to be a top 3 player in the NBA.
Luka is going to be the 2nd greatest player of all time when he retires.
Dude.
Mark my words.
You think he'll be better than LeBron James?
Yep.
No.
He's not going to be Michael.
No. You're
all right.
Hey, this is a great way to end this today's show.
Come back to this in 2035 when Luka wins his 8th championship.
Oh my God.
Come back to this. Luka Doncic is going to dominate the 2020s. Dominate. He's going to win at least 3 or 4 championships in the 20s.
Hey, here at Metnick Vinci Productions, you got hot takes left and right. I mean,
and he will be the MVP this year too.
This year. We'll do an awards thing as we get closer and closer to December 22nd, right? Because we've only got another month and a week of off season.
We've got this week, and then we've got free agency starts next week. We'll do our draft. We'll do our draft segment next week, right before the draft starts. And then after the draft and free agency, we've got less than a month.
Exactly.
Less than a month.
Although I feel bad for the players, the fans we're so ecstatic to see the NBA coming back. I mean,
they get paid millions, right? And they had a 6-month off season.
Dude, I saw
March and August, right? Yeah. They can come back and play. I mean, I understand maybe for the Heat and Lakers players who have only had 2 months off, but if you're not a Heat or Lakers, even the teams that got knocked out in the early playoffs, it's been off since August. That's like a normal.
I saw this thing that was like, it's been 285 days or something since like the Hawks have played a game, or like any of the teams that didn't make the bubble.
Exactly.
It's almost a year since we've seen the Golden State Warriors play a basketball game.
even the bubble teams that didn't go as far, like if you're looking at like the Suns or
Yeah.
even that got knocked out in the first round, right? They were done in early to mid September,
Yeah.
and so that's a three and a half month off season. The normal NBA off season is 4 months.
Exactly.
So
Sorry, LeBron.
ridiculous. It's
LeBron's
sorry,
healthy. LeBron, you're
quit
healthy enough.
whining, quit whining like you always do.
You've got Anthony Davis, man.
Do you really want to come out and be the GOAT? Come play basketball again. Like, Jesus. You'll be fine. It's been 2 months.
Exactly. Well, what a way to wrap up the show. It's been a fantastic first show, and I can't wait. Hopefully we get enough viewers where we can get a couple more podcasts going. I want to keep this going weekly. I mean, I don't know why we haven't done this already.
Eventually, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, it was great. It was great talking with you. And MVP wrapping it up here. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Peace.